A man answers the door. He says, "What is it?" The man is clearly inebriated. What is it? I can't talk drunk.
That was pretty good, Bo.
Yeah.
I felt like I was there, middle of the forest in the middle of Chicago, with the drunk man at a cabin.
So what do you say to the man at the door?
Where are the birds?
Okay.
The man replies, "The birds have stopped singing because it's winter now. You're on your own. Get out here. I call the police."
I am the police.
Yeah, that makes sense. The months are running together. I'm sorry to bother you, dude.
You say, "I am the police."
Mm.
You are now outside the cabin. A strange man wearing a hooded robe and an evil grin emerges from a cabin. He has a pitchfork. You draw your gun and shoot him in the chest. Wow, they didn't give you a choice there.
Center mass, man. Liv would do that. She would take him down.
Chicago police.
A hooded dude in a robe with a pitchfork. He's not a fan of mine. I'm going to do exactly that.
Make sure he's down.
I'm going to say that you look inside the cabin. Just to...
Now, is this the second cabin? Because it sounds like there were two. It alluded that there were more than one cabin.
I think that I think that the AI just put together a run-on sentence. I think it was just the one cabin. I don't know.
Okay, that's better. Duty, got to keep it.
In a weird way, AI Dungeon used to be worse at its job, but it made more interesting stories. Like, remember we did the one where you ran into a dragon that had the face of your father and all this weird stuff.
And it turned into my father, and then it was my father, and it was a dragon again. And
yeah, now the AI is smart enough to actually put together a story, but it's actually less interesting than the weird stuff that it used to come up with. So you look inside the cabin. There is a dead woman lying on the floor of the cabin. You hear an evil laughter coming from behind you. Do you turn around? Yes.
Yeah.
You were shaking your heads, yes. You see a figure emerging from the trees. What do you do?
I say, the birds.
Ask him what happened to the birds?
I think the birds are back.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, I think the birds are back with an exclamation point. The birds are singing again. You notice that the man who you shot in the chest is now covered in blood. Well, no shit. He grabs you, and you notice that his pitchfork has pierced your stomach.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh.
Wow. So
must
now
have been a long stick on the board.
So now what do we do? But I'm going to say,
backup. We should have called for backup a while ago, but I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna call for backup. Call for backup. Oh wow. A police helicopter arrives on the scene. They land the cabin and an officer comes. That's the way it's worded, but I'm guessing they're saying they land at the cabin and an officer comes to your rescue. The police officer rushes you to the hospital. Why don't we just say the end?
Thank you, the other police officer. Was that Finn to help? I think Finn came to help.
It was definitely Finn.
It has to be Finn in this episode. We can't have an episode without him. It doesn't feel right.
You're now at home. A huge bandage on your stomach. Your wife asks you what happened, but you do not remember. Your wife reads the police report.
This is a great cliffhanger. I love it.
I would assume you would read the police report.
Okay.
Reads it.
All right, we'll keep that one going. Maybe next week you want to pick up where you left off. You want to find out what happens next to the great detective of
Chicago Forest.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Well, that all day.
All right.
Well, I didn't link my PayPal, so
let's start this show.
Let's go.
Scott. I don't know if you can hear the music that's playing in the background, but I'm playing that track you sent me from the new album that you got coming out. And
it's actually not from the new album I have coming out.
Oh, it's not from that. Oh, okay.
It's already available now.
Oh, nice. Well, tell me about the new album, because I have the cover of it pulled up now. Cryo Sleep.
Well, the new album is going to be called... It's what? It's going to be called Cryo Sleep Chamber. There's going to be 8 full tracks of stuff that's probably going to put you to sleep, but you'll be able to relax to it. It's been something I've had on the back burners just hiding for the last few months, and I decided I finally need to get it together and get it out there for everybody. It's on my Bandcamp page that we talked about before, and it should be somewhere linked, I would hope. It's coming out on the October 13th. Yeah. So we've still got a little bit of time.
I'll definitely have the Bandcamp linked in the show notes, which I have the Bandcamp linked in the show notes on every episode because we always use your music for an intro. So check it out. I really like That Money. That's my favorite. That's my favorite track so far.
That Money's his favorite one. He likes the message it brings you about paying your taxes.
I feel like
so the government can buy more tanks, and planes, and tanks. Good message.
I think it's a cautionary tale. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with headache pills.
Yeah.
Taxes and headaches.
So, welcome to Electric City Nerds, ECN Radio. This is episode 3. We got Kyla with us again. Kyla's back on the show. Kyla, are you going to make this a mainstay? You going to come every week? Is that the plan? I'm putting you on the spot. Yeah. I'm asking you now. Now. Everybody's going to hear the answer. No, I don't even know why I put you on the spot like that. But we got new content coming. It's a lot of fun. We didn't do the show last week because you finally got COVID. I know that we recorded an episode that I didn't post. I talked about it at the beginning of the last episode, yada, yada. In that episode, I was amazed that you had made it all the way through and you've been doing stuff. I know another couple that made it all the way through without getting COVID until just recently, but they basically locked themselves inside and didn't go out. You've been out doing stuff. I mean, obviously not like in 2020, but you've been out doing stuff since, more things have opened up, and yet you still have dodged it all this time.
Yeah.
I knew you'd get it. I had faith. I had faith you'd get it one day. And
I got it. In that secret episode, we talked about how I tried to catch New York COVID. Like I did everything I could.
Yeah.
Other than lick the ground. To catch COVID in New York, I was sure I was going to get it. Everything in the train I touched and did not wash my hands. I touched every surface in Yankee Stadium. Came home, I was fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I got it from the Styx concert. That was the last huge thing I did.
I forgot you said you were going to see Styx on the last episode. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And then you came back with COVID. How perfect is that? You got Styx COVID, baby. How's that feel?
Yeah. It felt terrible. In the last episode, I was sick. I knew something was coming on. I thought it was just a cold. But that night, after I recorded with you guys, I went and got cat food and I came back and I had 102 fever. And
man,
yep, that's how it got me last time. Yep. Had I not had the fever last time, I wouldn't have known I had it.
Yeah. I don't think I ever run a fever whenever I had it. I think I got pretty lucky. Mm-hmm. My thing was after the fact, I went back and listened to podcasts I did while I had COVID, and I could hear that I was breathing differently. But I didn't notice it at the time. And other than that, I don't think I had any symptoms.
So you only had it once?
All of
I only had it once. I had.
Oh man, I'm the winner. I've had it twice.
I had OG COVID. I had COVID before my vaccine COVID. Had that smooth.
I had it after my vaccine and then after a booster. I had it after a vaccine one time and then a booster and then a second time.
But
it won't leave me alone.
My situation was my wife got it. We at that time period, it was 2020. We weren't going out places and stuff. It was it was back then you could narrow it down. Well, it's been 2 weeks since I saw anybody except for this one person, and I got COVID and they got COVID. So I know I got it from them, we got it in that time period. So we basically knew exactly whenever that person came up and said they had it, we started testing, and then sure enough, my wife got it. And then we spent a period of time where I I was like wearing, anytime we would like use the kitchen or the bathroom, we'd wear masks and gloves. Like we were trying to keep from spreading it. But then at some point it was just like, I'm going to get it. Like I might as well just lay in it, Like, there's no way
just
to
went
avoid
down
it.
and just gave her a big old kiss and give it to me.
Like, I'm not going to lie. I was pretty shocked when the nurse told me that I was positive. I was like, that's not possible. Like,
it's not possible.
And she was like, how can you not catch COVID? And I was like, no, it's a whole thing. I've been trying to get COVID just to see if I can catch COVID because I'm boosted and I believe in that science. So I was pretty cocky about it. And I'm really thankful that I am vaccinated because I can't imagine going through that without being vaccinated. That was a nightmare. And I've had pneumonia and I thought that was pretty horrible. But pneumonia is like a walk in the park compared to COVID. It was not fun. But I got to watch all of Dahmer in one day.
Wow, I haven't watched it yet. I've heard it's really good.
I can pull that off. Yikes.
I've heard
my favorite part about this. Well, the thing about Dahmer that I love is that everybody is like shocked. They're like, "Don't put it on your house. Don't let that come into your home." And I'm like, "Did you not like think about what it was about before you turned it on?" I mean, have you heard it? It was like the '90s guy, and so you probably have known that he did some pretty horrific stuff. And if you just thought you're gonna walk into it and be like, "Oh, everything's great afterwards," and
it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, I did I watched they did a documentary on it. Like Netflix made a documentary a few years ago that I watched. It was really good, but I haven't actually watched this show yet. But yeah, everybody's talking about how good it is.
Mm-hmm.
You can join us on, but I'm proud that you finally got COVID. I was rooting for you. You had talked about how you wanted to get it, so there we go.
He was happy when I got it too. I think there's something wrong with Bo.
Well, you didn't want to get it. Kyla wanted to get it. You didn't want to get it.
I didn't want to get it. I didn't either time.
I wanted to get it, but then like I got really cocky and I was like, maybe I am just like one of those people like I cannot catch COVID.
Yeah, like in a zombie movie. You're the special. Yeah, like you got the special blood or something.
That like doesn't like. I wasn't like, oh, I can't catch COVID because COVID's not real.
Oh, right.
Like, yeah. But
caught
it.
It's real as hell.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad you're feeling better. And you were even willing to do a show last week, but we were like, let's not. We might get COVID over the internet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you were saying no because I would get like these like bursts of like not being as tired as I originally was.
Yeah,
but those only lasted for like 10 minutes. Like going to pee was a real task. It was,
I think
you got a good version. You got a heavy version of it. It sounds like.
Yeah. It sounds like you got a heavy version. Yeah. So I'm boosted, but I'm not the second boost yet. Are you guys second boosted yet?
I'm just first.
What about you, Scott?
One boost. Yeah, I haven't got a second boost yet. But I'll tell you guys, though, I was extremely fortunate. The first time that I got it was probably about 2 or 3 months after my initial vaccination. Mm-hmm. And literally my right calf hurt for like a day and a half, and that was it. And that was when you were locked up for 24 days when you had it. So I was just going crazy, losing my mind because I felt fine after day 4. I was fine. Mm-hmm. I'd never had a temperature the first time, never had any of that. The only way that I knew was because I was with my niece and she tested positive, and then my sister and my parents all tested positive. We were all together, so I took the test and tested positive. The second time I got it from a guy who at work, and this was like about a month ago. Funny enough, I got it like almost exactly a year after I'd had it the first time. It was like a full year went by, and I got it about a week early from it being a year. And the second time, he said that he put up on our group chat. He's like, "Hey guys, I got COVID," and I knew that I had spent a lot of time working with him the day before, and I was like, "Oh well, I feel fine. I don't have any temperature. I have 0 symptoms." And then that night, it hit me that 103 fever hit at like a freight train, and I was shivering.
I had a situation not too long ago, around the same time you got it again, and we had somebody here doing something at the house, and the guy was just like sweating on his forehead and like coughing. I mean, it was like,
it's just allergies. That's all. It's allergies.
Yeah, and he just, I knew
it's not allergies. It's COVID.
I didn't know at the time, although it turned out I was right, but I was convinced this guy's got COVID. Like, and so like, I'm like moving everything away from him, keeping everybody in the house away. Like, I was being nonchalant about it. Like, I didn't want to embarrass him, but at the same time, I was like,
Still polite. Yeah,
still polite, even to my detriment. I'm not willing to like breathe. There was like one time where like he kind of like not coughed, but like he like kind of breathed heavy in my direction, and I was just like, like I didn't let any of his air enter my lungs whatsoever, and it was for like a couple hours that I was around this guy, and it turns out like later that day he contacted all of his customers that he had been to saying that he had COVID, and I was like freaking out. I didn't go to work the next day. I took a test 3 days later. Like I was like completely.
How many tests did you wind up taking? Because I
was thinking I took 2 because I took one that night, but I was like, oh, but it's way too soon. So then I waited a couple of days and I took another one, and I was like, I think I'm breathing. I think my chest is hurting when I breathe. Like I was like convincing myself, like I could feel it. Like I was convincing myself that I had it. And then I know what's happening. I took the second test and it was negative. And I was like, all my symptoms just went away immediately. But so like my wife picks up those tests from her job. They get them every so often. And so we have a bunch here at our house, just the like ones you can do like yourself at home. And anytime I feel like cause I'm just such a hypochondriac about these things, like I just immediately test just for peace of mind, even I'm like, I don't really feel like I got it. I'm just going to take a test just to be sure, Mm-hmm. I'm like super paranoid, but you can join us on Discord. I have the link in the show notes. I want to do some reorganizing on Discord. It's still kind of set up based on the way we used to do the show and the way we used to put out content. So I'm going to clean that up. I want to like put some interesting categories. Like, I don't know if we should have like we have a lot of creative people that listen to the show. Maybe we do like a work in progress category. You can post pictures of something you're painting or something you're making. I'm currently making a video game that I've never talked about on the show. I could post stuff about that on there. I could tell you about that, Scott, if you want to hear about it, but I talk about it on my other podcast a little bit, but I don't mind talking about it here also. But
what's the name of that podcast?
Crowbar Colonel Panic.
So people can check that out.
We also have, Crowbar Colonel Panic is also working on 200 subscribers, and our 200 subscriber goal was going to be that we create a Discord channel. Maybe we combine these efforts. I don't know. I got to talk to Josh, but we might do some Crowbar Colonel Panic stuff. I know that there are people from Crowbar Colonel Panic that are on the ECN Discord, because I know some of those people and they're on there. I know Leo's on there. But so yeah, I want to clean that up and reorganize it. We have an email, ecnradio at proton.me. If you send us an email there, especially if you do another podcast, I want to go on other podcasts and I want other podcasters to come on here and let's do some like cross promotion kind of thing. If you do a podcast, especially if it's in the upstate, we want to talk about it and hear about it. So please send me an email. Let's do some CAPSLOCK Tuesdays. Do you want to do that? All right, I'll start us off. CAPSLOCK Tuesday. This is something to do on the Greenville subreddit. I'll do the first caps lock. If it says no turn on red, stop honking your horns at me. I'm not going to break traffic laws because you didn't leave home early enough. All right, Scott, you have to give this person advice. What advice do you give this person?
First of all, nobody in the cars anywhere around you cares about your emotional well-being or anything that's going on. My advice to you is to sit there even longer.
Yeah.
Wait it out and make them even more mad behind you.
Yeah.
All right, Kyla, you read one.
That's the true road rules.
This person just says, and I'm just going to read the super calm.
Oh, I'm going to be the excited one. You're going to be the calm one.
Yeah. The rent is too damn high.
Do you know what that's from?
Yeah. But Scott, it's been like what, 3 or 4 years?
Oh, it's been a while
since the rent's been too damn high, and it's gotten higher.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. I'm actually getting ready to move out of here because the rent is too high. Because people want to charge twice the amount of something that they, used to charge half the amount for, I guess. And no improvements are made. So the only way for us to destroy the renting and housing market is to work together.
If none of us pays rent, then it's a strike.
Blow the whole thing up.
One of us doesn't pay rent, we get kicked out. So we got to coordinate this all together, right?
We're doing it almost right now. 1 on 3. 1, 2, 3, stop.
So
okay, no more rent.
That comes from Jimmy McMillan, who was like running for office somewhere. I think it was maybe Pennsylvania or Philadelphia somewhere, but he was like, that was like one of his big points was like, the rent's too damn high. And that just,
he wasn't wrong.
No, he was, we didn't know how right he was.
I knew how right he was. I think because of how he looked, we didn't know how right he was, because he also looked too damn high, but he was right.
He also looked too damn high.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, I'm going to start saying the names. So Lisa says in her all caps Tuesday, I bought tamales from 2 ladies who were sitting in the parking lot at Cedar Lane Tires. They said they are there every day. So I'm going back tomorrow.
I too like buying tamales from people who sell them in parking lots that I don't know if they're going to be there the next day or not, but I'll go. I'm going to meet you there. Okay. Yeah. I'll meet you there. Tamales all around.
She wasn't really looking for advice, I guess. She's just letting us know about the tamales.
Trying to let us know.
Yeah.
She's giving a good call out to the tamales, man. That's a good thing.
Where is Cedar Lane Tires?
I don't know. Somewhere in Greenville, I guess. But the if this is CAPSLOCK Tuesday, so today is day 2. I wonder how many people showed up with her at the tamale place. Was it like the deli place, and like these poor ladies are sitting in front of a 3-foot grill trying to make as many tamales as their little fingers can?
I don't know. Empire Grill, they might have some competition, because these ladies. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I want to hear from the tamale ladies. I want to know if they were able to handle it, or if they were overwhelmed and they posted a post about it.
Tamale ladies, if you're listening, come on the show.
I tried to go to that deli, by the way,
tamales.
After we did the episode, and you guys know this because I sent you a picture of it, but I'll post a picture on the Discord. I tried to go to that deli and they were closed down. They're doing like remodeling until they reopened just a few days ago. And
it's because too many people were listening to the episode and it got even bigger.
I wonder if they were trying to, I'm not saying we did it, but I wonder if they were like, all right, we just got to buy some time until this Greenville foodie situation dies down, and then we'll open back up. Or if it was, they truly are remodeling. And if they're remodeling, I want to know if it's a 6-foot grill now, or is it still 3 foot? What's the size of the grill?
I hope inside it's going to be like super immaculate, but the grill is the exact same size.
Yeah, they
just
can't
to, like, piss everybody off.
It's legend now. They can't change the grill. If they change anything else about the place, they can't change the grill.
What if you just get another grill and put it beside that one? 2 threes.
All right, let's do one.
Not the same.
Let's do one more each, Kyla. Yeah, pick one more, and I'm gonna look for a good one while you're looking.
I'm gonna give out the best advice possible to these folks.
Dirt Did It says, stop expecting a tip at the kiosk for doing the absolute bare minimum work.
Oh, at the kiosk. Now this is tricky.
Yeah, where is this?
It would depend on like which kiosk.
Right. Yeah. There's some situations where I might agree with, let's see, Durr. There might be situations where I agree with Durr, but there's definitely kiosks that you're supposed to tip at. I don't know. We got a few comments on this one. If you give me a tip line when I check out at counter service restaurant, I will not give you a tip. This means you, Mose. Oh.
I want to say.
Yeah.
We need to read the username. It says Skins Hotdogs. So is there like competition?
Uh-oh. They're throwing down. That's it. This is espionage. Corporate espionage. Holy.
Oh man, the Skids hot dogs. The hot dog knows all. What else? I want to click on them and see where else they've posted.
Well, the difficult thing that I have with this whole situation is I've worked in food service.
Yeah.
And I really have a hard time not tipping.
Oh, I tip.
There are times. I mean, I don't remember a time where I've gone someplace and tipping was customary and I didn't do it. I don't remember ever stiffing somebody. And I wonder if people who can do that have ever worked in food service.
Yeah, so I tip anytime it's, the typical customary stuff. You sit down, yada, yada, yada. But even if I pay with a card everywhere I go, and even if it's a place that I wouldn't normally think, oh, I'm supposed to tip here, if they have the line, I just can't be the person that draws a line through it. You know what I mean? I may only leave $1 or $2, but it ain't going to be blank. True. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I go anywhere where there's actually any service involved, it's going to at least be 18, 20%, even in the worst situation, but like you said, I mean, I've worked at restaurants forever. And speaking of working at restaurants and tipping, when I worked at Sonic, do you think of Sonic as a place that you tip at? Besides what I just said, if you pay with your credit card, obviously you write it on there, but if you were paying in cash, would you leave a tip?
There's people on roller skates, man. Of course I'm going to give them a damn tip.
Nobody does the roller skates
Break
anymore.
your neck. Or you still got to go out in South Carolina and...
you're leaving the building to bring it to my car. You deserve a tip.
Yeah. No,
it's 700 degrees outside all the time.
I think now they make minimum wage. But when I worked at Sonic, the car hops made just above waitress wage. So minimum wage was like $6 an hour back when I worked there. But the car hop wage,
wasn't. It's the same as what it is now. Minimum wage hasn't raised, but
I know it's probably still $6 an hour.
Yeah.
The car hops made $4 an hour because they assumed they were going to get tips. And most people, and back then they didn't have the little card readers at the stall. It was a lot more people paid in cash. Almost nobody tipped. And they're making $4 an hour. It's pretty insane they were able to get away with that.
You can't even afford to get there. Yeah, you can't even afford to come to work for $4 an hour, even back then.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, I was a cook, so I made whatever the minimum wage was. But yeah, Becca did that for a long time, $4 an hour. But we were high school students.
I do want to say, Skins Hot Dogs did comment on the red light thing.
Oh man, Skins is all over this.
And they said that it is a law to run red lights on Woodruff Road.
They also said on the tamale ladies, they said, I love a good tamale. Might have to check this out. Well,
yeah,
right on skin.
So they are even keeled, though. They're not just, raging on people. They actually have
Are you going to tip? Emotions. Are you going to tip the tamale lady?
Tipping them? Yeah. Probably not, because they said they're not going to tip.
Right, so. Yeah. I don't know. I think Skins is one of those restaurants that puts up the sign saying, we pay our waitresses a living wage, basically advertising that they don't pay $2.15 an hour, which is at least better than
the $7.50 minimum wage. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's it.
I want a cozy fall sweatshirt, and I found the perfect one today, and it was on sale, and now I'm chuffed. What's chuffed? What does that mean?
Yeah, aggravated, like miffed.
Oh, he bought it.
Meant,
now it's on sale.
Quality sweater.
I found the perfect one today, and it was on sale, and now I'm chuffed. But then the comment says awesome. I think chuffed is a good thing. I think he's saying he's wearing this. I think, does it mean cuffed? Like sweater? Like a sweater cuff?
I don't know why you would say you were cuffed.
I don't know. I got an Urban Dictionary chuffed.
I think he bought it, and then the next day it went on sale. Yeah, it's not like it.
It's a real word.
Oh, okay. It means very pleased. Why is he complaining then? It's supposed to be about being bad.
I think that's the trick about CAPSLOCK Tuesday is that they actually say positive things like the tamale ladies, but they just do it in an angry manner.
Yeah, they're like the Uncle Leo of
there you go.
Right. All right, so I said at the beginning of the show we want to do a 200 sub goal, so we're currently at 150 subscribers on YouTube. I want to try to get to 200. And so please like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff on this episode. We'll do some posts and stuff too. I didn't post. I was nervous about posting the last episode on. I was going to post it on Reddit. I was actually going to post it on the Greenville subreddit, but like I was thinking, like we've talked about the whole restaurant thing. Like I don't know how that's going to go over. I don't know, but
it's fine.
If I post it, I'm
better
sure
to be hated than ignored. Come on, man.
I have to work and live here.
I know.
You guys are still in Anderson. Please don't post that.
We're still in Anderson. By the way, people may wonder why does Bo always go to the Greenville subreddit if this is the Electric City Nerds podcast? The Anderson subreddit, we have one. It's awful. It's like no one
it's
ever
like one
posts
thing every month.
Yeah, no one ever posts on there. When they do post, it's like, why did you feel the need to post that? Like, it's like the weirdest stuff on there.
I'm gonna try to find it.
Yeah, here I'll pull it up, but I'll guarantee you
it's an Anderson subreddit. So all it is that the same picture of Cole Staples' dicks.
I was gonna say it's probably Cole's. They can't do that joke anymore because they've changed stores now.
Staples is gone.
Yeah, or how empty our mall is.
Yeah, that's
y'all's
another
mall is.
That's
our
right.
Mall is great.
We go to y'all. I go to your mall all the time. I basically live in Greenville but sleep in Anderson.
Nice,
because I work there and all of our recreational stuff is there, but then I have to drive all the way back here. So we got a comment on the last episode. David Gregory on YouTube. This was a really good comment. So those AI generated. The AI generated artwork is bonkers. Easily the most joy I had the last couple of days was seeing Samurai Cats. The Samurai Cats was a suggestion from Kelly too in the live chat. More joy during Akinator. And then he gives his favorite like segments during Akinator, and it says, Bo, was your character covered in peanut butter? Everyone
probably.
Everyone ... So we were all just like, what? Peanut butter? What? Another favorite moment. Bo,
slathered.
Is your character's gender female? Scott, of course. Sly snicker, heavy drag on vape. And then Kyla scoffs and says, what does that mean?
David knows better than anybody else about Jennifer Giroux. He knows better.
I didn't catch that when it happened.
Damn.
That's a funny moment. Bo, is your character linked with magic? Scott, no, only the magic in her eyes. And then
I'm hilarious. I need to listen to these episodes back.
He posted a little rolling eyes emoji. My last thoughts.
Yep.
So he finalizes with his last thoughts. Sometimes you have to crack an egg to make an omelet, or crack your friend's skulls and leave him for a bear to escape. Just saying.
I want him to do these for every episode. That was nice.
That's bear bait.
Yeah, I like the favorite moments thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave is in the live chat right now, actually, in YouTube, and he's talking about chuffed, and now he wants some tamales.
Oh, nice! I didn't see it, David.
Maybe you'd be chuffed to have the tamales from the parking lot out there at the car tire place.
Yeah, I want to get to the root of this Skins hot dog account. I'm going to look into it before the next episode. And I want to know if
I'll just go eat there tomorrow and ask them. Say, excuse me.
Who runs the Reddit account?
Which one do you use on the Reddit account? Because you're hilarious.
Like, what is Reddit?
Red what?
When are you guys going to get a veggie dog? I'm the only person in Anderson that cares about that.
You are.
So let's see. Show notes. Kyla got COVID. I believed in you. Happy birthday, Scott.
Happy birthday.
Hey, thanks. 57 years old.
Kyla and I we were planning to do something, but we just didn't have enough time to coordinate it. We wanted to each separately go get like birthday caps and little things, and so we could do it on camera.
It's a lot of work.
It's a problem because we don't live in the same area, so I couldn't like go buy it and then give it to Kyla. So, but I picked a segment for this episode that I knew you would love. And so this is my gift to you, that we're going to bring back a long dead segment, a segment we used to do a while back You and I did the first episode of it ever in 2017, April 2nd. We posted an episode called The Body, and the premise
Wow.
the premise of the segment was that people would tell us an episode of a TV show, possibly one that we've never seen before, and we watch just that episode and then try to review the show and the episode. And the very first one and the only one we never did another one. It
was the first and the last episode all in one.
And it's
not anymore.
It's actually a pretty high. I turned all of our old podcast videos off. I put them on private. I'm going to slowly reintroduce them as things come up on this new show. So I'll make this one public again after this episode. But it actually had a lot of views back then. Like, it was like one of our highest rated episodes, and I don't know why. Man. Yeah, because it was Buffy. But yeah, so this week, I asked you to pick your favorite Deep Space Nine episode. I knew you were going to pick Far Beyond the Stars, and so I told Kyla ahead of time to go watch Far Beyond the Stars.
It was that easy. I should have picked like a funny one and told you, I don't know, Take Me Out to the Holosuite or Magnificent Ferengi or something really silly.
I would have just told you.
4 in that last season, that last arc in part 6th episode, just part 4, just that one. So you don't know what the hell's happening.
That would have thrown everything for a loop. Which funny story about that. Back whenever I was in high school, I was dating my wife. On my birthday, she says, "What's your favorite cake?" And I said, "Carrot cake." And then she like had this blank look on her face, like, "Oh shit, you just messed up all my plans." This is what she's thinking, but she's not saying it. And she said, "Oh, what's another favorite cake?"
Whose favorite cake is carrot cake? Like, in the whole world.
That's my favorite cake. But that's what would have happened if I told Kyla Far Beyond the Stars, and then if I just said, "What's your favorite episode?" You said something else, I'd be like, "Oh, what's your next favorite episode?"
Yeah.
Let's keep going back until we get to Benny Russell. Oh, Benny.
So, Scott, I know you've watched it a 100 times. I've seen it a few times, as many times I've rewatched Deep Space Nine, and it is one of my favorite episodes of the whole series. I think I didn't realize how watching it this time, I realized just how unique it is compared to the rest of the show. And so it may be my actual favorite Star Trek episode. But Kyla, what is your experience with, let's start with Star Trek. How much Star Trek have you watched?
This is definitely my favorite episode because it's the only one I've ever watched.
Oh, wow.
Man, we're starting up here, too. Everything else is going to suck.
Yeah,
oh,
maybe
no.
was this a bad idea, Scott? We started her at the top.
Yikes.
I remember like watching some of it when I was a kid, but like,
yeah,
I was really just like trying to get through it. You get to MASH because I'm like 80 years old.
So, yeah. I've never watched MASH. If you want to pick a MASH episode to force me to watch,
I will.
I would be glad to do that.
Yeah, okay, I got one for you. The first episode I ever watched. I'll have to find it, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's look into that. And then this episode, like I said, a very unique episode for you to watch. My glasses keep fogging up. Very unique episode for you to watch, but
jarring episode to be my first episode.
Yeah, I didn't realize how heavy. I remembered it being.
It's really heavy.
Yeah, but it's heavier than I remembered it being. Yeah.
But would it have been as heavy in like 2013?
No.
You know?
No.
Like, I don't know if I first watched this episode then, if I would have felt the same way I felt after watching it last night, you know?
Yeah, to me, no. And I can only speak from my own naivety, but yeah, for the first time I saw it, I didn't really realize how it would feel watching it now. It feels a lot different now than the first time I saw it. It felt distant. We kind of talked about this a little bit before we started the episode, but like, I think the first time I saw Far Beyond the Stars, I kind of had this perspective of like, oh, this is a thing of the past. Like, I don't feel connected to this type of situation. I understand the plot, like it's a relevant time in history that we need to remember. But after recent years, it felt like I didn't realize how naive I was, that like we still live in that world, you know. But yeah, it's a very, very, very heavy, very, very heavy
Should have picked a
episode.
funny one. Should have picked a funny one.
I should have picked.
There's a couple funny moments in this one, though.
Yeah.
She's got a worm in her belly. That's funny, that part.
Yeah. It's
a really like raw first episode. Like, I would not suggest this be anyone's first episode to the show.
Yeah, I kind of feel I kind of feel like maybe I made a bad choice using this to introduce you.
No, if this is your favorite episode, and like, I did think about you, Scott, and I know you, and like a lot of reviews, and I was like, I can see why this is your favorite episode, and it made me happy that this episode was your favorite episode, because a lot of people would really neglect this episode. And a lot of people be like, oh, especially if this episode came out now, I'd be like, oh, they're trying to send a message and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a cool episode to be your favorite episode. So that kind of helped me, I guess, like, know a little bit more about you. But it makes sense from what I know about you that this would be your favorite episode.
The thing that I really like about it is it transcends like what Star Trek is. Like, it's so different than any other Star Trek episode, because you can actually, like, I remember the first time I watched it, I kind of like was feeling like I know that this is like in the middle of a season. Like, this can't be like the finale of the show, and this isn't the first episode of the show. This is like in the middle of the 6th season. There's more episodes after this I've not watched yet, but yet somehow this like breaks the fourth wall, and like I'm suspending disbelief and believing that maybe Cisco is a dream in this guy's mind. Like maybe this is different than the rest. Like the rest of the show is this, like what, you know? And I really like that aspect of it. And then at the same time, it is also very quintessential to what Star Trek is, because of, you know, what we're talking about now, about it having like this, this like important, message about racism in America. And, like that is also quintessential Star Trek. Like that is something that they always do. It's just this episode is more on the nose than any of the other episodes. Like it confronts it way more head on than they typically do in the way they tell stories in other episodes. So it's like, I think it's special in that it's like quintessential Star Trek, but also very different than any other Star Trek episode all at the same time.
Deep Space Nine was definitely good at taking those kind of risks. I think it was also, this was actually one of the episodes that was written by a submission script. So it was not Hollywood writers. It was not Mark Scott Zickery. He'd done an episode of the Next Generation before this, I believe, but he sent the script in, and it was originally supposed to be a little different. It was supposed to be Jake going back in time, because Jake is a writer, Cisco's son. It was supposed to be a little more sci-fi and a little bit more than that. But as Ira and everybody got to looking at rewrites and stuff like that, they're like, there's a bigger story to tell here. It's just the time frame that you're throwing people back. And Avery actually directed it as well, which I think is very important. So he stars and directs in the episode. So I think that that's really important, that exactly what his thought was reading. This guy's an amazing actor. He's one of the greatest actors that's ever graced television, with Avery Brooks. Yeah. And what he had in his mind when reading the script and when they did rewrites is exactly what came out on camera. And the fact that everybody is getting to act without this makeup on their face, and everybody's getting to be a completely different character. And you have somebody like Jake, who was the child, and at this point this was 98, so he's getting a little older. He's like 17 or so, playing this role of a kid who gets beaten up and killed by the police. And to have him tell the story, and you know, you're so used to him being the kid and the one that gets in trouble. And this is where Nog has gone off to the academy, and Jake's just trying to find out, you know, what his place in life. And they have flashback in this story, and you know, Jake is brutally murdered by police in the story. I think there was a lot of important stuff to tell through there.
By the way, I had forgotten that part. I didn't even remember that until rewatching it this time. I'm so sorry, Kyla.
No, I was going to ask Scott, like, you were watching this like as it was like airing on TV in like 98?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in 98 it was a minute ago, and a lot of stuff has happened since then, so I could remember that it was always a very important story, but where I was, I was actually very freshly moved to the South at that point. So I had a very, I tell people all the time, moving from Long Island to Anderson, South Carolina is not culture shock. It's going to a completely different world. I had grown up, so everything was so commonplace. Everything was I was so used to a different way of thinking. And I came here and it was like landed on Mars. And some points that's a positive thing. And at other points, it's definitely not. And I mean, we're in a different place now, while we're also not in a different place now. We have a lot more to go. And I think Ira, who is the showrunner for Deep Space Nine, said it best when he was talking about past tense, a couple other episodes. He said, this was supposed to be a warning, not a blueprint. And particularly with a lot of stuff that did wind up happening. I mean, this aired 98, for God's sake, like late 98. But I mean, this is, it's unfortunately timeless, but at the same time, it's absolutely beautiful and painful. And Avery's performance is unbelievable. There's actually the scene where he is crying at the end and he falls down on the ground, where they said that they actually called cut and had to leave him there because he was so deep in that, come back out of it. And he kept, it's real, I matter, it's real on the ground. And they yelled and they had to walk out and leave him for about 30 minutes so he could get himself together because he was so invested in it. And I think it's so important that he was that invested in it because this is going to go on long after he's gone. It's going to go on long into the future. And hopefully one day everybody's going to look back on it and go, wow, I can't believe we came from that. I hope that's what people look at eventually.
Yeah. I don't know, it's kind of disappointing that it's like 24 years later and we haven't made very many steps away from that situation. And that was like set in the 20s and we haven't made any steps away from that happening.
Yeah.
There's even more of this to come in Deep Space Nine as well. So there's much more commentary.
We won't pick a heavy episode next time. We'll pick something.
Yeah, lighter. We'll pick Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite.
David pointed out that it is such a brilliant episode, but he gets how a first timer it can be heavy. Says that he showed it to a friend who was lukewarm into DS9 and thought it was too emotionally dense. That episode is, even the episodes where they tackle, social and political subject, which they often do. That's one of the things Scott and I always talk about is like people that see new Trek and they're like, wait, when did Star Trek get political? It's like, did you just
the 60s, you dummy?
Did you just figure out Rage Against the Machine's political too? Like, what the fuck have you been watching? But it's not usually. What's that?
Or people on Twitter, not Twitter, but TikTok, are just realizing that the Twilight Zone was political.
Yeah.
It's the whole reason I can go on for a million years about Rod Serling. This man came back from fighting Nazis. Of course he's going to tell stories like this. Funny thing, too, is doing the Seventh Rule stuff, I have found out that Sirach, who plays Jake, who played the kid in the episode, is also that's his favorite show of all time is Twilight Zone because of exactly that. And I've been trying to convince him to talk to me more about Rod Serling, but, time's limited, but yeah.
So Kyla may not know you like what the seventh rule is, but Scott actually does he helps a podcast and gets to go on sometimes and talk to Sirach, who's Jake's son in DS9.
Who is Jake?
Really cool.
Yeah.
Who is Jake? And when we reviewed this episode, it was wild because Ira was there, showrunner.
Oh,
and he talked about it. Yeah, Ira was there, and it was a heavy episode. But I also think that the group of people that we had, all the associate producers that were on and everything, everybody had such good things to say. And such positivity came out of it.
I saw Avery Brooks and Sirach at a Dragon Con. I don't even know, 2013 Dragon Con. I have no idea. It was a while back. They were at Dragon Con together, and they were on stage together doing like a fan like Q&A, and someone asked, what was the best thing for you to come out of Deep Space Nine? and without saying a word, they each just got up and hugged each other. Like apparently, like their relationship is like what came out of the show for them.
Absolutely.
But listening to Avery Brooks talk, like he was born to be. He's like Patrick Stewart in that way. Like he was born to be an actor.
Yeah.
Like there's no way he was ever going to be anything else. Like I couldn't imagine Avery Brooks coming and fixing my computer at home, or something like that. Like, he would just would be asking you all these philosophical questions and like asking you like, well, what do you think that, like it would just be
playing jazz piano and like scatting in the middle of it and telling you life secrets. And oh man,
I think that's another special thing about this episode is that like he got to act as like he got to be Avery Brooks, the actor, instead of Avery Brooks, Captain Sisko. Because Captain Sisko, not only because he was a Starfleet captain, but like they kept instructing him to like not like they kept basically telling him like to tone it down. Like they don't want him to overact the part. And I feel like this was a role that he got to like just completely go all out and just be as creative as he wanted to. And like you said, he actually got to direct it. So it was actually his vision. And I think that that's another thing that makes this episode in particular special. I wanted to ask you about too. So all of the characters from Deep Space Nine also got to play other characters in this world. What did you think about Armin's? What did you think about his character in the show?
Armin's character is the funny part about it is that Armin and Renee were supposed to be swapped in the roles, but they actually wanted to take Armin and put him in the sympathetic role because they did not want a Jewish man playing the mean editor that was, cutting the magazine and knocking it down. And Armin Shimmerman, actually, I got to meet Armin last week, him and Anon. I made them both laugh about something stupid that I said at the same time. So it was a bucket list I didn't know I had. I checked it off. Make Quark and Kira laugh at once. It was pretty awesome. But Armin is very much, he's like that in life. So it's cool to see him out of that prosthetic head and out of the giant ears and the teeth out of his mouth, hearing his own voice, say something that he 100% approves of, that he's fighting for Benny the whole time.
Yeah.
And also Renee's part in that role as well. When he's playing the editor, he is, again, brilliant. Everybody was so great in all the roles because they were so different from the people that they normally play on the show regularly. So incredibly, totally different.
I was going to say
every single one of them.
I was going to say, like, playing a character like Armin's character would be easier because it's like on the side of the argument that you would most agree with. How hard would it be to play the character of the editor that like has to be the asshole? And like how hard would it be for an actor to play like the character that they don't want to be, like I would find that extremely, I mean, they're professionals. They don't think anything about it, but
well, you got Mark Alimo and Jeffrey Combs playing the filthy, murderous, racist cops. Yeah, those guys are awesome people in reality as well. And that they could pull this off, and not to even mention the absolute brilliance that was Brock Peters playing the street preacher. Brock Peters has gone all the way. I mean, his IMDb, I mean, that man is legendary. And for him to write the word, Brother Benny, it's one of them. He's very important to have him there because he had lived through the civil rights movement. He had lived through that time growing up. That was what he came up in. For him to play the street preacher and getting Benny to keep the faith, well, I think was incredibly important too.
Kyla, what did you think about the preacher character? Because you don't know what the prophets are. Like, what did you think about those scenes?
Yeah, I'm not the best person to ask about any of that. I'm so sorry.
I know, that's why I'm curious, because if you don't know what the prophets are, I think it could still work because he's like a street preacher and he just, could just mean anything really, But I will say also,
I really loved his character. There was not a character on this episode that I didn't, a good character rather.
What about Michael Dorn's character? Which Michael Dorn?
What was that?
I was going to say, for Kyla's sake,
he was Willie Mays.
He was the baseball
without being
player
Willie Mays
that kept hitting on the waitress character.
Got it.
Those scenes? Those scenes were a little awkward. I mean, I think that if they were filming that today, he might would have not been as aggressive towards the woman waitress.
But it was like based in the 20s.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah, fits in. Yeah, that's
he
true.
Didn't have rights then.
Still
we
fits.
don't have them now. So yeah, they could still film that.
Well, they also said it was important to have him come in there because they wanted to have, particularly he's in there and he comes in and he's talking to Penny and he's hitting on her and all these women are waiting for him on there and he's got all this money. And it was important to show that no matter how much money you had and how popular you were.
Oh, yeah.
And then Sirach says that line, no matter what we do for them, no matter how much we perform, we're still going to be this to them, no matter what in the end. So I think it was important to have a rich man in there as well that had made it and have him particularly be called Willie. He's not credited as Willie Mays, but Willie Mays did. And, every there was probably plenty of racists in America that were like, oh, well, but Willie Mays is okay, though, because he's entertaining. And I think that's very important as well to say that. And to have him in there and to have him still around people, from where he grew up at. Well, and I thought that was he was great in it too, because that's not Worf. It's also another great.
Yeah, it's such a good episode the way it weaves in and out like that. Well, I did. Honest to God, it didn't cross my mind that this would have been a heavy one for Kyla's first episode. And I knew what it was about, but I really rewatching it, I realized more now than I saw more this time than I did last time. And
it was deep.
Yeah, it's deep. Star Trek.
I put this episode on. I got in bed and I was like, I got in bed. I was like, I'm gonna watch this before I go to bed. And pretty immediately, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a mistake or not. I hope that
man, I don't know. This show proves that this episode proves that show was not effing around, and that there was quality writing and peak acting, and the set design, the costumes, the lighting, everything. It was a perfect storm that had to happen at that time. It had to happen.
I think that Kyla needs to introduce us to something we've not seen now, and so you don't have. I know it's hard to come up with on the spot. Think about it. Let us know. We'll post it in the Discord, whatever it is. We'll talk about it. But if you can't think of something, also that's fine too.
Can David Gregory suggest something too? And maybe he can get something all three of us to watch, because David's pretty much he's really swinging for us here. He's a good dude. So, and then if anybody wants to put something in, maybe a suggestion.
Yeah, that would be fun. I would definitely like in a later episode to talk more about Rod Serling and the Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah, I'd love to do that. For sure.
I'm looking for his book. It's right off the camera. It's right over here somewhere. The book about him.
I grew up watching the Twilight Zone before I really was old enough to understand it. Much like Star Trek, I grew up watching Star Trek and I didn't understand it. And unlike Star Trek,
watch it later.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unlike Star Trek, I've watched all of Star Trek as an adult and I understand it now. I've never went back and watched the Twilight Zone.
Oh man, you gotta watch the Twilight, and you gotta watch the new Jordan Peele one, because
I have seen that. Yeah, I have seen that.
Special Time Kyla loves Twilight Zone. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's talk about it.
Top 5 episodes.
Let's talk about it on the Discord channel. Put together
we do.
We'll make a list of shows that we have to go into. I'm calling it Going In Blind, because Kyla had no idea. She went in blind. It doesn't necessarily need to be a rule that you haven't watched the show, but it just it would help if we have not seen it. But it's okay if someone suggests something and we've all three seen the show before. That's fine. We'll still do it. But it would be a lot of fun if they just pick.
This was a very good first episode. So
yeah,
nice job with this being your favorite.
I really. Yeah, it is. It is. I took it differently this time than I did last time.
Nice.
Captain Sisko.
Earworms. This was after the last episode. After the last episode, we had so much fun, and Kyla and I was talking just after everything, and after every show, you get this rush of adrenaline where you're just like, oh man, that was so much fun. I can't wait to the next one, yada, yada, yada. And then throughout the week, you're like, man, I'm tired. I don't know if I want to do it today, but you just have to remember that adrenaline rush at the end of the last one. But
Yeah.
you suggested earworms, which was a segment that we did way back when, and I don't know how long we did it or how often or what, but this was a good idea to bring this back. And the concept is an earworm is a song that you have stuck in your head. It may be one that you love, it may be one that you hate, but you just heard it while you were, in my case, if I'm in the car with my wife and I have to listen to her awful music, then it gets stuck in my head sometimes, and then I keep repeating it. And so that is an earworm. Could be a good song, could be a bad song. I don't think you guys are going to recognize mine when I tell you what it is, because it's a little too.
Is it some screaming music?
No. It's a little too hip for me. It's a little too hip for me. Even I actually listened to an interview with this particular artist. I think he's like more popular with like the Gen Zs or whatever. And I wouldn't know who he was if it wasn't for this interview. And then I went back and I listened to his music, and I have a funny story about it. I listened to one of his albums. I liked one song on the album, and it's a Rick Astley cover, hook, that kind of thing.
Fuck this dude. Are you talking about Young Gravy?
Yes. Young Gravy, Betty is the name of the song. That's the only song that I thought was any good, was that one. I listened to everything else this guy's ever made because I was like, I want to give it a chance, because I like Betty, but like every other song was nothing close to that one. And here's the funny story before you rant on me, Kyla, about how bad this guy is. Because other than this interview, I don't know anything about him. But like, I was listening to it at work, headphones in, sitting at my desk. The fire alarm starts going off. Mark, 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 Mark. I thought it was a hook in the song. I thought it was part of the song, and I didn't get up. And someone actually came to my desk, was like, "Hey, Bo," and I took my earplugs out, and I realized that it was actually in the room. It wasn't a hook on the song.
Almost lost your life listening
to an artist I don't even like, that I'm just trying to give a million chances under the sun.
Wow. We almost lost you both.
Why do you hate him so much? Give me a reason to hate him.
You can just Google him. Google his picture. He just looks like
he looks like a tool. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
His name is Young Gravy.
Young Gravy?
Yeah, but like I don't get any of the I don't get any modern rappers or anything. Like to me, that is as weird as Lil Yachty. Like all the names are stupid now. So I mean, and he could be
taking his career seriously, but like I think he was just like, hey,
well, so
there's audience for this, which make your money.
Yeah. So no, that's the thing, is like nowadays I've noticed like, what's the guy that is another kind of meme like artist like that?
Oh my God, this is who you're talking about? He looks like a College Humor skit.
Yeah, he is.
Holy crap.
Yeah, he is.
He looks like everybody that shopped at Aeropostale in the mall.
I think that with Zoomers, like the meme is what sells. Like I don't think they want to see like serious artists like we grew up listening to. You know what I mean? They want to see a meme. That's like the thing to them. And I think that there's certain artists like him that have just learned to capitalize off of that. Yeah. I'm not saying it's bad. I see that as what it is. It ain't my thing, but whatever.
Except that one song.
That one song I liked enough that I was like, I'm going to give the rest. Becca was even like this is annoying to me. Why are we listening to this? I was like, I'm trying to find.
What does he talk about?
Trying to find another. His gimmick is that he is like into cougars. Like all of his songs are like about like attractive older women.
Yeah.
I mean, that's valid, but I mean,
that's a point of view. Yeah. All right. What's your earworm, Kyla? Let me judge it. Kyla. It better be good.
Please give us some clout again.
These two songs have been in my head for like the past like couple weeks. One is Hall & Oates, Private Eyes. I don't know why. It's just always in my head.
Oh, that's so quintessential Kyla, though. I could see. That's exactly what I would have expected to be stuck in your head.
Yeah. But then the other one is a song called Bad Habit by Steve Lacy.
I don't know that
which is
one.
the number one song in the country right now.
Oh, well, then it must be good. I don't know anything about that one.
I think you guys would really like this dude. He's super young, like 24, like alternative R&B indie rock dude.
What'd you say his name was?
Steve Lacy.
I'm looking it up.
We could put his link in the show notes, but not the guy Bo was talking about.
I'm not putting any of these links. They don't need our help, whoever they are.
They don't need your help.
You should definitely link Steve Lacy. He deserves it. He's, yeah.
The 44 people
not yours, though.
Watch this episode.
Yeah. 204 million. Damn it.
Hall & Oates. Yeah.
Well, that's a good one. I'm gonna check out Steve Lacy for sure. I see. I was trying to see if there's like a similar artist or something like that for fans of. That's what I need to see. If there's a for fans of page. What about you? What about you, Scott?
A song called "Yellow Streets" by a band called the Moore Family Band.
The Moore.
Just happen to have the record right here.
See, I don't know this one either.
Recently, I fell down a YouTube rabbit hole. They're on Asian Man Records. I don't know if you remember Asian Man, and it was early 2000s, late 90s pop punk. A lot of stuff came off of there, all your karate and stuff like that. Okay. Bruce Lee Band is the main, yeah. But they are a group founded with a sister and two brothers. They started making music during lockdown, and it turns out that they put out this album that it's absolutely, I love it. It's of course punk, but it's got a lot of like 60s and 50s feel to it. It's got a little bit of I think she's like a deeper Amy Winehouse type voice, not as more punk than Amy Winehouse was, more ska. But there's a song called "Yellow Streets" on there, as well as yelling out of tune. There's a ton of songs I absolutely love on it. I hope it's not like a one-off thing and that they never do anything else, because the two brothers are in other bands on the label. So I've been absolutely loving it, and I put that on one of my. I have a playlist, Spotify playlist, that kind of rotates out what I'm listening to. I'll delete stuff as I get them. The three core are brother and sisters, but then they have the album. All the music is recorded by the three of them, but when they play live, they have some people that play like bass live, and they have keys. It's got like all the good stuff that I actually like about Weezer, and none of the stuff that I don't like about Weezer, like musically, is not there. So they take a good bit from that style, but a little bit faster. I don't know. I found them. That Asian Man Records had put out an episode, like an episodic show on YouTube that was having the bands play. So there's actually a full set of them playing where they're all masked up and 6 feet apart, and okay. I hope we're getting away from that mess.
When you said they were all masked up, I thought it was like Slipknot or something. They're like wearing masks. I was like, why are they wearing masks?
She wasn't masked up because she had to actually sing, but there's a lot of like 3 and 4 part harmonies on it, which had a lot of doo-wop sound and type stuff on it, which is my absolute favorite. And I've started following them on everything I could follow, and I bought the record, and it took forever to get here, coming from California, but it got here.
So
I'm gonna listen.
Yeah, the album's called Missy. It's the only album they have, so it's real easy.
I'm gonna check that one out too. That record label that you mentioned, Asian Men Records, they did looks like they did some Alkaline Trio albums were released there.
Tons of stuff, yeah.
Andrew Jackson Jihad did some albums there. There's definitely some stuff on here I recognize. I never heard that name before though. It's an odd name.
Awesome people. They used to put out some of the greatest old punk comps back in the day before there was any streaming music or anything like that, when you'd go and get a CD that had like 10, 20 bands on it for like $3, and you just went and listened to all of it. You found the 2 or 3 you absolutely loved and went and bought their stuff. I loved Audio Karate. They did like this first wave emo. I'm talking about before it got to whatever the hell it is now, but like back during Promise Ring days and stuff like that. Just a lot of
baby.
Yeah, those Promise Ring album. I could talk about that forever too. But
some really emo stuff.
Some day one first wave emo.
Yeah.
So if this episode came out, if we were talking about that Deep Space Nine episode, so this is like
98.
February
98.
February 11th, 1998, because I Googled that last night. what would your earworm be?
So what would our earworm be in 98?
Yeah.
That's such a good question.
Mm-hmm.
And on the
I
one,
just pulled up like a Now CD because
mine would have been.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I was working at the mall selling Now CDs at that point.
Yep, you were probably at FYE.
Yeah,
or Eagle.
I was before FYE, bro. Yeah, man, it was Camelot. I was selling those CDs and giving out the AOL discs too. Everybody that came in.
Oh man, I know it in 98. I don't know. In 1998, what I would have been listening to would have been like MXPX probably.
Definitely that kind of stuff. Yeah,
because I was
on the tail end of all that tooth and nail stuff. But
me too. Yeah, this would have been just before I discovered like
post grunge.
It would have been like Blindside. Did Blindside's album come out in 1998? Blindside. I don't even know the name of any of their albums. I'm just gonna look up.
That first one was really great, where it had the guy holding the record. It was like a picture of him holding the record, his feet in the carpet. Yeah. That was the only one that I like super loved. But
it came out in 97.
God, no. 100%. Drop the Less Than Jake's Hello Rock View came out that year. That was probably the only thing I listened to. Holy I
do remember that album, but I was listening.
That is a perfect damn album from start to finish.
For me, it would have been Blindside.
Rancid came out with Life Don't Wait. Rancid with Life Don't Wait, which is an album that they didn't like very much. The self-titled Bouncing Souls album.
I didn't learn about Rancid until I was a little older, so I wouldn't have been there. But another one would have been Project. When did Project 86 Drawing Black Lines?
That's about that time. That was like the beginning of Solid State Records. That was all about that time. Like, maybe 2000.
Kyla doesn't know what we're talking about.
I was listening to Janet Jackson, The Velvet Road.
Which is way cooler. Which is way better than anything we're talking about. But you got to remember, I don't know about...
I don't know, man. That Less Than Jake album was peak, dude. I don't know.
I don't know about Scott, but like, there is some, I don't think it was a 1-for-1, but there is some similarity to mine and Scott's upbringing in that our parents were religious and we only listened to Christian music, even if it was Christian like rock and punk music.
Christian music, unless it was Billy Joel and Bruce Springsteen. That was okay.
My mom didn't even have that rule.
I'm from Long Island, dude. It's a Long Island. Billy Joel was okay. I will still take a bullet for that man. So, damn, what happens?
So
very different upbringing.
Yeah. So all of so I have a fondness for that music in particular. Basically everything else about that culture I don't really have a big fondness for, but the music in particular, I have a fondness for all those bands and for that time period and all that stuff. But it's also growing up like that is also where all my trauma comes from.
Ooh, I love talking about childhood trauma. If you ever want to do an episode on childhood trauma,
next episode, all about childhood trauma in the
We'll read a couple more John Douglas books, a couple more Robert Ressler books.
Yeah,
we'll start talking about that.
Thursday night, and we're deep in some childhood trauma right now.
All right. Anything else we want to do before we get out of here? This is the end of our show notes, but it doesn't have to be the end of the show. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Cool. We want to get to 200 subs on YouTube. Please subscribe to the show if you're not already subbed. Like, comment, do whatever we can do to try to promote it. We're basically trying to resurrect a dead YouTube channel, which I think is really hard.
We need to get on CAPSLOCK Tuesday.
CAPSLOCK Tuesday. Next,
we need to ride this lightning all the way to the sky.
This Tuesday, let's do a CAPSLOCK Tuesday where we just say, I do a podcast in Anderson, South Carolina. And we read this every week.
Deal.
Maybe I'll make a segment of just CAPSLOCK and then cut that out to be part of the ending of it. Check out the show. All right.
You're saving your money by lending it to Uncle Sam.